So if I can get your attention, we're going to kick off the afternoon's, proceedings. And I get to invite to the stage again Sam Almaliki. Now, Sam, I mentioned before, he's the founder and owner of Settle Easy. But aside from that, he's the facilitator of the Regional Angel Investor Network. And he spoke about that a little bit earlier today. Sam is passionate about the role of startups, changing lives, driving prosperity, delivering social benefit is a big and a key factor. He's also the founder and chairperson of Realty Easy, an end-to-end property services platform offering for agents, sellers and buyers. Realty Easy proudly owns Nurture Call, which we're going to hear more about today, a highly experienced customer nurturing and prospecting service, helping real estate agents find more gold in their databases. So for a lot of you who have been in operation, let's say more than a year or two, one of the things that happens to every single real estate agent, I don't really care which one I've seen, but the one thing that we don't do well at is we don't harvest the data that we've already been through. So, you know, what is a buyer that I sold 5 years ago doing now? Or what is a seller that I had contact with 3 years ago doing now? And that's something that Sam's going to come up and talk to you about, is what harvest the gold in your data. So please give Sam Almaliki a big round of applause. All good?
Thank you so much, Peter. I'm one of the fortunate ones to have my bio read twice, and I think you got it nailed the second time around. It's a reoccurring theme for Pete. He's better second time around. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you're feeling nourished and you've caught up on all those emails and texts, and in some cases managed to swipe once or twice right. I'm just waiting for my presentation to come up. Very good, thank you. As Peter mentioned, one of my recent ventures, so in addition to Settle Easy, which is an end-to-end residential conveyancing platform and service, I recently acquired a couple of businesses and formed an entity called Realty Easy, because I love it being easy and making it easy for the people that we work with. Now, Realty Easy owns a couple of brands, but it's also recently, leveraging our collective experience of the group, launched an entity and a brand and an offering to agents called Nurture Call. I'll talk about that in a little moment, but the focus of my session today is really to be able to help everyone here and be able to share with you how you can mine and unearth the gold that is within your database. And you know, one of the great conversations I had during the break was with an agent who said, you know, it's fantastic, all this AI, and it's important to be across my data, to be able to mine my data and be able to use all these tools. But fundamentally, it's the interpersonal skills that an agent has and the relationship that they're able to build that allows them to be able to leverage those tools for business success and for success for their clients. And I think that's important to keep front of mind. So, unearthing your gold, how mining your database leads to real estate success. Fair to say, in a competitive world of real estate, success hinges on building strong relationships, goes back to those interpersonal skills, and understanding your client needs. Your database is a treasure trove of potential clients, past, present, and future. And good agents are actively mining this data. By doing so, you have an opportunity to unlock a wealth of opportunities and propel your business forward. This presentation will explore the importance of database mining for real estate agents and the benefits of outsourcing regular calls to a dedicated service provider. Because as many of you would know firsthand, whether you're part of EXP or part of any other group or you're on your own, time is not something that you have a lot of, and sometimes you need to rely on others to be able to turn your database into the gold mine that it can be. What is database mining? So just taking us back to first principles. Database mining is a process of extracting valuable information from your database, and all of you would have CRMs. It's like sifting through raw data to uncover hidden gems, trends, patterns, and insights you can use to your advantage. By analysing client demographics, who are your clients, who's on your database, their past inquiries, their property preferences, right? You gain a deeper understanding of their needs, as well as be able to tailor your approach accordingly. What kind of conversation you have with them, what sort of message you serve to them, both in person as well as digitally. This allows you to predict the future opportunities that your database presents you with. For example, when is your client or potential client ready to buy, sell, or invest? You're all over it and on top of your game by being able to mine your database. Why mine your database? Mining your database unlocks a plethora of benefits. It fuels your lead generation efforts by helping you identify potential clients who are most likely to buy or sell. By staying connecting with past clients, you foster strong relationships. In a highly busy and crowded world, it allows you to be able to stand out and stay top of mind while building loyalty, increasing the chances of repeat business and referrals. And we know word of mouth and repeat business remains to be the best form of marketing. It also allows you to ensure you've got targeted marketing campaigns based on the client's data. It's not just put it out there and hope for the best. It's about serving tailored campaigns and marketing to each of your clients and each of the people in your database to ensure you reach the right audience, maximising your impact and return on investment. Cleaning up your database, and this is where many of the tools that you've heard about today play an important role, and there are so many other tools out there. Cleaning up your real estate agent database can be daunting, but it is a rewarding task, and I'm sure those of you who make it a priority have seen the benefits of that. Here's a two-pronged approach to get you started. First, standardise and organise. Identify the data fields, all the data points you have for your contacts, name, phone, email, address, all the basic stuff, and standardise the format for each field, all phone numbers in a specific format, including the country code and getting that right, the state if you've got a landline, if anyone uses those anymore. Eliminate duplicates, just simple stuff. Use your CRM's built-in tools or spreadsheets program to find and eliminate duplicate entries. Now you're saying you've got 8,000 people on your database when 3,000 of them are repeat. Fill in the blanks. Export your data to a spreadsheet and use filters to identify missing information. Consider reaching out to contacts to fill in the gap with their permission where you see appropriate. That's the standardise and organise approach. Go a step further. Validate and segment your data. For example, consider using a phone verification service or making calls to confirm active numbers. Have you got up-to-date data? There's no use having a database full of phone numbers and emails that don't get you to the person you want to talk to. Email hygiene. Use email verification tools to identify and remove invalid or inactive email addresses. That's one of the primary ways you're communicating with your prospective or current client base. Make sure you've got the right information. And then the third and most important element around this validate and segment approach is actually the segmentation. Group your contacts based on a criteria of like interests, property type, preferences, or past interactions. And of course, each contact can have multiple tags so that if you're able to slice and dice your data, they could appear depending on what filters you apply. That will drive your communication, and not just digital communication, your personal communication, whether it's you or your sales team. So here's some data you can mine with your existing database. That's not acquiring any other database or going about trying to get more people on your CRM. For example, for property and ownership information, length of ownership. Look for properties owned for a significant period, 5+ years. Owners have held onto their property for a long time, might be considering selling as their life circumstances have changed. They probably have a higher propensity to sell. Either they might be downsizing or are looking to move into retirement villages or whatever it may be, or that their family circumstances have changed. They bought it when they were 25 or 30 and now have a growing family, and they are looking to transact, sell, but also buy a property that's appropriate for their circumstances. Property details, analyse data on property types, single-family homes, etc., and sizes that align with current market trends. This can help target outreach to owners who might benefit from selling in a hot market. Tax assessment changes, significant increases in property tax assessments can incentivise owners to sell, especially if they're on a fixed income. Other things to mind for, demographic and lifestyle data, if available. And again, this is where the relationship allows you to get this intelligence. But there's no use getting this intel if you're not feeding it back into your database and mining your data accordingly. So age and life stage, owners approaching retirement age or those with empty nest might be, for example, more receptive to selling. What's the status of their relationship? Recent divorces, separation can trigger and do often trigger property sales. Previous interactions and engagement. Past inquiries. What inquiries have they made previously about selling their home, or have they requested valuations? And target the outreach accordingly. Website visits. Are you tracking who's visiting your webpage so that you can then surface the right content to them and the right message? E.g., you can surface a home valuation tool to someone who might be a homeowner or looking to sell. Of course, in doing this data mining exercise, we all need to be mindful of privacy regulations. It's amazing, as someone who employs a lot of people and works in different businesses and in different contexts across industries, I'm amazed how many people rely on email as their main form of communication. And if you've already got an existing relation, I'm here to say to you that's the worst form of communication. The best form of communication, once you've got a warm relationship or one that's been pre-established, is picking up the phone and being able to make regular phone calls. I'm sure you do it with your loved ones. It's how you stay front of mind. How you do it with your neighbours, with extended family. If you don't, they forget about you. Life moves on. Well, it's the same of your customers and, more importantly, your potential customers. Let's face it, real estate agents are busy, and I appreciate that. Between prospecting, listings, opens, contract negotiations, finding the time to consistently call your entire database can be a challenge. But this is where growing a database, although as overwhelming as it can be, you can still have in-depth conversations with each of your clients. And the best way to do that is by outsourcing database calls, but not outsourcing it to a brand or a company that's removed from you, but actually getting somebody to do it on your behalf. They are speaking on behalf of you and your brand. The solution, as I said, lies in outsourcing your database calls to a dedicated service, a team of professional callers, not offshore, not uni students, although that could be, but certainly not just one category of person or backpackers. They've got to be people who have life experience, people who can build immediate rapport. Don't worry about the volume of calls, worry about the quality of calls and what is happening as a result of those calls. Are you getting appraisals? Are you getting listings? And that's where partnering with the right people becomes important. Of course, doing that, one, will keep you front of mind, allows you to further mine your database, but it frees you up to focus on core business activities like listings, negotiations and client meetings, going and seeing potential vendors in their lounge room. Ultimately, that's what agents do best. It's those kind of conversations that drive outcomes. By outsourcing the calling and being able to call your database, you can save valuable time and resources, allowing you to maximise your productivity and, most importantly, grow and scale your business. There are many providers in this space, and I think, like we've said today, and as other speakers have highlighted and reinforced, it's about making an informed choice and choosing the right solution for you. I think it's important to understand who's making those calls, not so much the people who are fronting up the particular provider, but who's in their team. Do they have the experience and proven track record? Lived experience is important. At the end of the day, you've got to know your audience. You're talking to homeowners with their most important life asset. There's got to be somebody on the other line who understands them, who they can relate to and with. Positive reputation in the real estate industry is everything. Anyone who's calling or doing anything on your behalf is essentially leveraging and potentially either undermining or enhancing your reputation. And so that's why making the right choice and choosing the right call service provider is important. Can they also scale to accommodate your growing database? Let's say you're running campaigns, whether it be digital or otherwise, that are generating prospects for you and more data entries. Are they able to scale in terms of then outreach and servicing that database? And most importantly, they've got to be able to offer you competitive pricing and transparent fee structure. In summarising, I think it's pretty clear that no matter how big you are, how small or how big you are, it is so important to be able to mine your database to make sure that it is the gold that it can be. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Wait. There we go.
No, that's not my question. My question is around primarily this group is like mining data is a very technical task, right? Finding the right person to mine data and building structures to do that is hard, even for a technologist. Like, how can real estate professionals potentially get some of these benefits and find the right person to employ for this or engage with this? Like, do you have any tips or tricks?
Yeah, and I think it's a great question. So it's a two-pronged approach, and in, I think the first instance, standardising and getting your data in order, that's something you can and should be able to do, because you as a business owner want to understand who your customer base is and the quality of your data, and also understand what are the gaps. So then you can provide a brief to a provider, say it's Nurture Core, and the approach we take is two-pronged. One, we're technology agnostic. We're happy to partner with the right technology provider that cleans the data, and there are various software providers within the ecosystem that enable you to be able to clean the data, first as a starting point. But that in itself is not enough to be able to get you business, which is what you're really wanting, right? That's great. That gets you clean data that's up to date. It allows you to segment your data in terms of who's likely to have a higher propensity to sell, who's more likely to be a prospect for listing. But then you need to nurture that database. And I think that's often where business owners get caught out, particularly if they're independents or they're on their own or they're not they're the director but also the sales agent and everything else that falls into being a real estate owner or an agency owner. Then it's about finding the right partner and the right people who are basically nurturing that database on your behalf and doing it in a way that builds your credibility and builds brand loyalty, not undermines it. Because I think a lot of people do all the hard work, they use the AI, they get their data in order, and then because of maybe things like price, maybe because of perception, they'll engage the wrong partner. And we're seeing so many providers have offshore solutions or, telemarketing sort of base centres that sell a whole heap of other products that aren't necessarily real estate focused and also filled by just one category of person who's doing the calls. For example, university students. I'm not saying university students can't do this job, but you certainly need to have a cross-section of people nurturing your data and being able to build that loyalty, because consumers are pretty savvy. They know when you're not calling from Australia, and they know when you've got no idea in terms of their life, their property, and their most important asset. They can sniff it, and they don't want you to be reading off a script. They want you to be authentic and high energy. And having run a lot of sales teams, my experience has been it's often people with more lived experience in this context who can build that relatability and credibility. It's relatability and credibility, and you've got to do it instantly to get the outcomes. Any other questions?
Can I ask a question of the crowd just before we go to Joe? Who's been in real estate longer than 2 years? Yeah, great. So most of you. Who thinks they're harvesting their data really well? 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's great.
In my experience, it would be the vast minority of people who harvest the data, the actual data that they have sitting there, in a fashion that turns around to return on investment or actually actively engages the people again. It's something that I feel is done incredibly poorly industry-wide. We just don't seem to focus on it, and I don't know why. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox and give it to Joe.
Thanks. So you just basically wiped email off the map. Why?
No, I didn't wipe. They're two different...
Fighting words.
Great question.
You two can take it outside later.
No, absolutely not. I didn't... we run multiple campaigns across various ventures I'm involved in, and it's, 30,000 people in database to, 100,000 plus. I didn't wipe it off the map. What I said was that you can't use it alone as the central tool to drive loyalty and connection, particularly when you're prospecting and in a sales process. Correct, and that's exactly why you need to mine your data and make sure that what you're putting there actually is customised. You're talking to me, and there's a hook, and that's a hook that's tailored to me and localised to my circumstances, not some sort of generic message out there. But we often found, like in my conveyancing business, I can do as many emails as possible, and if people respond to it, and if I don't call them within 2 hours, and if our team doesn't get in contact with them, we lose them. That leader's lost. So the email might help you build top of the funnel, but it itself will not get you the customer over the line. Correct. And I think we're saying the same thing. All I'm saying is often people allow the email to drive the engagement exclusive to the outreach and the phone call and the building the relationships. And there are obviously barriers to that, around being able to do that, because a lot of people are also, concerned about taking calls that they don't know who's the caller. So you've also got that issue in the same way you have around spam emails. That's why you text, absolutely. And I think this is when people talk about communication, it's never one or the other. So, for example, before we often call people, we text them and say, hi, it's X from X. Would you be available for a quick chat, or whatever it may be? So all of a sudden, they know they're expecting a call, and it's not a spam from Malaysia or Philippines, selling them energy-saving options. Other questions? Yes, Stephen.
Wait.
He's eager.
He's got a big voice, but it's not that big.
Testing, hello. So I'm actually one of the boffins that does all that database nonsense, right? And something that I know how to do that's really useful is I can target, like, specifically who should be contacted by a principal, because that's a warm lead, because it's 85% likely to be a close. Multiply that out to get your commission, and then you kind of go, well, what's my revenue for my business going to be as I progress through? But something I don't really understand, because I'm not really a real estate professional. I've done sales, direct sales, commission-only sales for years. I've done that. But I don't understand in a real estate sales agent context, like, what's the value proposition for delivering that to you? And so I could break it down into, well, it says X% commission for this. What's the value in saving 90% of the call time and getting that really targeted information? Because it's kind of like the data bit is great, but now it's just another list. I don't know how to convey that as value. Does that make sense? Whereas, like, putting that together is the first step to sort of only calling the people that matter when they're ready to close.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But I don't really understand the connection or how to convey that. That's something that I'm missing.
Right. I'll take that as a comment, Stephen. I'm not sure what the specific
I
question
wasn't sure what the question is either. Are you,
Sorry, I hope you don't mind. I think I know what you're saying. You can't put a value on someone who you meet, say, at an open house or a buyer. You can't put a value on them straight away. but your goal is building relationships over time. So you're not just looking for the quick buck, the quick person who wants to sell all the time. You're farming your area and
Correct.
you're building that database. And everyone you talk to, you're then putting them in a bucket. What bucket are you?
Yep.
You're a vendor. You're a buyer. You're a potential management for us. You know, you're this, you're that. You're a past client. So I call my past clients once a week. I go through and see who's here, not just the vendors, but the buyers as well. So you're categorising, and your number one thing on your CRM is your task button. So you're setting up a task. Oh, I spoke to them. Oh, they're going to be ready in 3 months. Boom, date, put it in. Every day, you're doing your tasks. Does that make sense?
Correct. Correct. Thank you. Always rely on the good doctor to make it simpler.
Please.
Any other questions before we
Well,
wrap
we
up?
don't.
And I
We,
hand-
sorry, we don't.
No,
have-
you're the MC.
Yeah,
I thought I'm a presenter.
No, you're a presenter now. We don't have time, but Sam will be around later, so please give him a big round of applause.
Thanks, everybody.
Jeez, it's really hard to MC an MC. It's too many cooks in the kitchen, right?